Number 1 is very similar to yesterday's warm-up, the last problem. That was the mini lesson. We are supposed to be solving for R, and we want R to stay put, and we want to move everything else. Now, when we look at the R, we realize there's a square on it, so at some point we're going to have to fix that, but we don't do that right away. I have a pi and an h that I have to get rid of. What is binding the pi and the h to the r? What operation? So how do I undo the multiplication? So I am going to divide the right side by pi h. If I do it on the right, I've got to do it on the left. So the pi and the h disappear. I now have an r squared on one side of the equation, and on the other I have a divided by pi h. Now we've got the issue of the square. I have truly not solved for r if there's a square on it. Who remembers from yesterday? How do I undo a square? Square root. So I am going to take the square root of both sides. The square and the square root cancel each other out, so I have now solved for r. R is equal to the square root of a divided by pi h. The correct answer is C. How did we do? How many people got that right? Okay, good. Good. We okay? All right. 2 and 3. Again, pulling this from yesterday. At the very end, we just grabbed some whiteboards, and we're trying to learn 2 of our laws of exponents. Okay? In this first one, this is called multiplying like bases, because A's are bases and they're alike. I don't like the phrase multiplying like bases, because what are we doing with our powers here? We're actually adding them. So this should be A raised to the 10th power. Did we do okay on that? That's what I'm talking about. Okay. The next one has a name. This is called a power raised to a power. Notice it's a power that is raised to a power. What do we do with these powers? We multiply. So this is A raised to the 16th power. How do we do? Boom. All right. Okay, here. I am pretty certain that not a single person went home last night and studied their signs. So all I wanted to do is bring it back up in your brain. You're going to have to know these without cheat sheets, folks. Gonna have to know them without cheat sheets. Good chance you might need to know them tomorrow for your exit ticket without a cheat sheet. Okay, so let's see how you did. Is at least is a greater than or equal to sign. Is at most is a less than or equal to sign. I'm seeing people writing. So we were even so lazy that we didn't even look it up. Below, pretty easy this one. It's a less than sign. Above is a greater than sign. Those two are pretty easy. A maximum of is a less than or equal to sign, and a minimum of is a greater than or equal to sign. Okay? Y'all, the below and above kind of makes sense. Okay, it's these. Y'all, they're almost opposite of the word. Least makes you think of less than, but the direction is not less than. Most makes you think of greater than, but the direction is not greater than. The same thing goes with max and min. So if you can keep that in your brain, what I said, that the word doesn't really go with the direction of the symbol, it'll help you out. Are we good? Might want to keep this for tomorrow in case this pops up again on your warm-up. Are we good? Okay. Now, okay, so these are we're going to do together. The top is going to have an equal sign. The bottom of what we're going to do together has the inequality symbols. Okay? So, let's take a look at the top and let's try to translate this bad boy. Okay? So, 9 less than 5 times a number is equal to 3 more than 2 times of the same number Find the number. Now I'm going to bring something up that we did not get to yesterday. Okay, when you guys had this right here, there was something written at the bottom. And mine is handwritten, and yours was written, it was typed with text. It said turnaround is less than. Turnaround is less than. Okay, so I want to explain that because it's going to pop up in this first one. Y'all, what turnaround phrases are, it's really just this one, and more than is too, but more than doesn't matter. What it means is as you're translating everything in the sentence, when you get to less than, it kind of switches. Okay? So, for example, 5 less than a number. 5 less than a number. You may think that you write 5 minus x. But less than is actually a turnaround phrase. You actually write x minus 5. Does anybody remember that from last year? Okay, well, we need to remember that. Okay, the less than. Now, y'all, it's not all the other words. It's the less than. Y'all, it doesn't translate exactly. This lends you to think you put the 5 first, then you put the minus sign, then you put the x. But less than is a turnaround word, turnaround phrase, which means whatever's written before it goes behind the minus sign, and whatever's written after it goes before the minus sign. And y'all, it works with more than as well, but more than isn't quite as important. And let me explain why. More than is a plus sign. Okay, so what is 5 plus 4? It's not a trick question. What's 5 plus 4? Okay, if I turn it around, what is 4 plus 5? Didn't change. Didn't matter which number came first, right? Now let's use a minus sign. What is 5 minus 4? What is 4 minus 5? Do you see how it matters? So y'all, if you don't turn around the more than with the plus sign, it doesn't matter. You'll still get the answer right. But y'all, if you do not turn around the less than with the minus sign, you'll end up getting the answer wrong. Okay? So just want to bring that up, and this is in your notes. It says turnaround, less than is a turnaround word. Okay? And I'll give you some opportunities to bring that back up again. I won't just let that stay there. Okay, so here we go. 9 less than 5 times of a number is equal to 3 more than 2 times of the same number. Y'all, I love to find where the equal sign goes first. It's going to go right there, is equal to. It's going right there. And now what comes before it? 9 less than 5 times the number. Tell me about less than. It's a turnaround. So the 9 goes in the back. The 5 times the number goes in the front. 5 times the number, we need a minus sign, and the 9 goes in the back. 9 less than, that means 9 goes in the back, less than is a minus sign, 5 times the number. Is equal to, we brought that down, and now let's look at the right side. 3 more than 2 times the same number. Okay, more than is a turnaround phrase, but it doesn't matter. I'll turn it around, but it doesn't matter. 3 more than 2 times the same number. Right there's your equation. Now, we're not going to solve it because we know how to solve it. We're focusing today on can we write it. That's what we're focusing today on. That's it. Can we write it? That's what we're focusing today on. Okay? Okay, so you guys try this one. And again, let's be writing in pencil in case we make a mistake, we can correct it. Got a new word in this one. It's called quotient. Some of y'all might need to look at your little symbols. Okay, so again, I like to find where that equal sign is or the inequality. It would be right there. There's is 14, so that's pretty easy. It's equals 14 right there. And now let's back up a little bit. 8 more than, so I could do this. The quotient, what's quotient? Division. Now, y'all, I know you probably did a division symbol, but I do this. I like the bar. I like the division bar. What goes on top and bottom? A number comes first, it goes on top. 2 comes second, it goes on the bottom. It goes in order. Quotient of a number and 2. Y'all, we're not going to solve. I'm pretty certain you know how to solve this. What would be step number 1 to solve this? Subtract 8. What's step number 2? If 2's divided, we're going to multiply both sides by 2. So we know how to do that. Okay. Inequalities. I'm going to find the word that goes with the inequality symbol. First thing I'm going to do is read it. I want you to see if you can find it. We're looking for the words that describe the inequality symbol. It says, a taxi charges a flat rate of $1.75 plus an additional 65 cents per mile. If Erica has at most $10 to spend on the cab ride, how far can she travel? What is the phrase that's telling me my inequality? Yep, and I prefer y'all to add the has at most. The reason why is it's kind of like is at most, okay, but yeah. So that inequality symbol at most is a less than or equal to. So it's going to be less than or equal to a total of $10. Okay, now, ladies, y'all need to be paying attention. Okay, now, we need the variable. That comes from the question. So the question is, what's the 2 words? How far? Y'all, that's a distance question. When I look up here, I've got money in miles. What variable goes with how far? Money or miles? Okay, so I'm just going to let M equal the number of miles. If you let X equal the number of miles, does not matter. So now, I've got a number up here that's going to be multiplied by the variable. It's going to go with the variable. And then I got a number up here that's going to stand alone. Remember, rate times variable plus constant. I'm not going to spell that right. Constant equals total, or inequality symbol in total. So rate and variable go together. What number is going to go with the M? M stands for the number of miles. What number goes with M? Got 2 numbers up there. We got $1.75 and 65 cents. How do I know it goes with M? Because it says per mile and the variable is miles. So we're going to do 0.65 M, and the flat rate, that's just your one-time charge, is $1.75. There's your inequality. We're not going to solve it. We know how to do that. What would be my first step to solve? It's a 2-step. Subtract 1.75. What would be my second step? Divide by 0.65. Okay? Now, want you guys to see if y'all can do this one by yourself, hopefully with a pencil. I'll set your variable for you. How many weeks? I'm just going to use the W. If you want to use an X, that's fine. W is the number of weeks. There's your variable. Take a minute, see if you can write your inequality. Okay, I need my inequality symbol, and so I need my phrase. This says Keith has $500 in a savings account at the beginning of the summer. He wants to have at least $200 at the end of the summer. He withdraws $25 a week for food, clothing, and movie tickets. How many weeks can Keith withdraw money from his, and that would be savings account. Okay, so what phrase is telling me my symbol, my inequality symbol? Have at least, yes. So, have at least $200 is a greater than or equal to symbol with $200 right there. Have at least $200. Okie dokie. I've got two numbers now. I've got 500 and I've got 25, and one of these goes with my variable. Which one goes with my variable? Variable is the number of weeks. 25, and how do I know it goes with my variable? Because it says per week. So we've got 25W. The $500 is the beginning amount. And now, there's something wrong with this problem. There is something wrong with what we've written. Just a little something something, but that little something something changes everything. Anybody know what it is? Say again, Elizabeth.
It's not addition.
Okay, it's not addition. We're getting there. That's not the symbol I would change, but we're getting there. Maybe focus here. Okay, a negative, which you're on the same track. We just want to make sure the little minus and negative goes in the right spot. Where does it go? Yeah, it needs to be negative 25. Because, y'all, we start with 500, and then what's happening? We're taking away $25 a week. So the negative needs to go on the 25. Now, Elizabeth, you don't have to write this, but if we had this written, okay, that's where that subtraction comes into place that you were talking about. But do you see how the 500 is not what has the negative on it? It's going to be the 25. But yeah, written this way, technically it's subtraction. Does that help? And again, it's that word withdrawals. Are we good? All right. We're going to look at the B part to find out the variable. Y'all, you can let X be all of your variables for this whole paper, or if you want to get crazy and give it different letters, that's fine. I do not recommend using an S for students. Why would I say that? When you put S with a bunch of numbers, what does S start looking like? Starts to look like a 5. So I wouldn't use S's, y'all. So I'm just going to let X equal the number of students. Y'all, once you find that variable, you can ignore B altogether. Just ignore it. And I know you see the word maximum. The reason why I say ignore all that is because you come right up here and look. At least. So all you're doing is looking at B to get your variable. And for A, you're writing your inequality. That's all you're doing. So you should have a piece of paper that has something like this written for 8 problems. That's all you should have. That's it. That's all you should have. Okay? After you find your variable, I recommend that the next thing you do is you find your inequality symbol. That's what I recommend. So like right here is at least 7. That is how I would get started, right there. Okay? Okay, we are going to do, I'm going to start with 7 minutes. And all you're doing is 8 problems and you're writing the inequality. I'm going to start with 7 minutes, okay? All right. Number 1. Letter B says, when you solve the inequality, find the maximum number of students, okay, in the class. So the answer to the inequality, we're going to assume is correct, is this one. What is the maximum number of students in the class? See, just having this as an answer, That's not the answer. What is the maximum number of students in the...
16.5 or lower.
Okay, but is there such thing as a 0.5 of a student? So let me ask the question again. What is the maximum number of students that can be in the class? It is 16. The answer to this problem is 16. So you've got to be able to interpret the answer. Okay, yes, x is less than or equal to 16.5, but the maximum number of students would be 16. Okay? All right, number 2. Number 2 says, solve the inequality to find the minimum number of people on the bus. In number 2, if that is correct, we've got x is greater than 44.5. What is the minimum number of people that were on the bus? Now, it's not 44. This is greater than 44.5. So 44 is not part of that inequality. The correct answer would be 45. Hope you're paying attention. This is your Math 1 level, the questions they're going to be asking on standardized tests. They're not going to tell you to solve, they're not going to tell you to write the equation, then solve the equation, then answer the question. They're just going to ask the question. You got to know, okay, wait a minute, let me write an inequality. Okay, let me solve it. Okay, now let me figure out what it means. The EOC is not going to ask you to do all that. They're just going to ask the question. Okay, number 3. Solve the inequality to find the maximum cost of the composition book. Well, number 3, we've got x is less than 4.4. What's the maximum cost of the composition book? This one's harder. Could we say it's $4.40?
Yeah.
Technically, no, because something's missing off that symbol. What's missing off that symbol? An equal to sign. So not $4.40. What technically would it be? No. $4 and what? Money. It can't be $4.40. It's got to be less than that. What is 1 down from $4.40? Thank you, $4.39. Again, these are some tough questions, and these ladies aren't paying attention again. Number 4. Number 4 says, solve the equality to find the maximum number of hours Amanda rented a bike. And we've got x is less than 8.5 as our answer. The maximum number of hours.
8.49.
We could say 8.5 hours, but what if your answer choices were 7, 8, 9? What would be the correct answer?
9.
Y'all got to be careful. The answer is less than 8.5. Y'all, you can't answer 9. It's got to be less than 8.5. You can't answer 9. It's 8.
I get it now.
Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Number 5. Number 5 says, find the maximum number of pencils. This one's going to be easier because there's your answer. What's the maximum number of pencils they can afford? 16. That one's pretty easy because we got an equal to sign with a 16. Okay, number 6. For how many hours can you afford to rent the canoe? When we solve number 6, if it's solved correctly, it's x is less than or equal to 3.71. If my answer choices were 2, 3, 4, and 5, what would be the correct answer? How many hours can you afford to rent the canoe? 3 hours. X can be less than or equal to 3.71. We don't have the money for 4 hours. It's got to be less than 3.71. So 3 would be the correct answer there if it was a multiple choice situation. Okay? Number 7. How many students were in each bus? How many students were in each bus? The answer to number 7 looks like X is less than or equal to 40, is that 46.4?
Yeah.
How many students were in each bus?
46.
It would have to be 46 because there's no such thing as 0.4 of a student, and this is less than. So we got to go down to 46. Okay? And last but not least, how many weeks will he need to save in order to have at least $75? The answer we found is X is greater than or equal to 12. How many weeks would he need to save money?
13.
Well,
12.
there's an equal to bar.
12.
Y'all, at 12 weeks, he will have the money he wants at 12 weeks. We good? All right. Folks, you all